morning, everyone, and welcome. We are so proud to have you with us today as McDonald's partners with EWiF, encouraging women into franchising, to mark International Women's Day 2026. This year's global IWD theme is Give to Gain, a call to action rooted in generosity, collaboration, and the idea that when we invest in women, the benefits multiply across communities, workplaces, and entire industries. The message is simple but powerful. Giving isn't subtraction, it's intentional multiplication. Where women thrive, opportunity expands, momentum grows, and everyone rises together. That is exactly why McDonald's and EWiF have chosen to partner today. Our missions align deeply with this year's theme. As two organisations committed to opportunity, growth, and representation, we recognise that progress happens fastest when we share knowledge, amplify stories, and support women at every stage of their franchising journey. This event is about shining a light on what's possible when women are given and give support, whether that's through mentoring, visibility, advocacy, training, or simply opening the door for someone else to step forward. Today's discussion brings those principles to life. So thank you for joining us. Together we're here to spark honest conversation, challenge assumptions, and celebrate the women who continue to shape the future of franchising. So to run quickly through the layout for this webinar, we'll start with a short introduction to why we are here today. It's about McDonald's and EWiF coming together to celebrate International Women's Day and spotlight women in franchising. This partnership reflects our shared commitment to creating pathways, opportunities, and support for women across the sector. Next, we'll explore this year's global IWD theme, Give to Gain. Then Pip Wilkins, the Chief Executive Officer from the British Franchise Association, will discuss what is franchising. We'll then move on to myth-busting segment, where we'll challenge some of the most common misconceptions about women in franchising. We'll address evidence-based insights, such as the strong growth in women becoming franchisees, the rising rate at which women are entering the sector, women's leadership impact and flexibility needs. And finally, we'll open up our panel discussion. We have an incredible group of women joining us today, leaders, operators, and champions within the franchising world, who will share their experience, insights, and advice. Each panelist brings a unique perspective on opportunity, leadership, and what it truly means to give to gain in this industry. So that's the journey we'll take together today, celebrating progress, challenging outdated assumptions, and hearing from the women shaping the future of franchising. I'm now going to hand over to Anne-Marie from Diddi Dance, who's going to talk about this year's theme, Give to Gain.
Good morning, everyone. So this year's International Women's Day theme, Give to Gain, is incredibly powerful and central to why we're here today. At its heart, Give to Gain is about generosity, collaboration, and the belief that when we support women, the impact multiplies far beyond the individual. The theme emphasizes that giving isn't a loss, it's intentional multiplication, a way to expand opportunity and strengthen the communities and workplaces around us. So what does give to gain truly mean? It means recognizing that every act of giving creates a ripple effect. When we share our time, our knowledge, our advocacy, or our resources, we help build an environment where women can thrive. And when women thrive, we all rise. This idea that giving builds confidence, connection, and collective progress sits at the core of this year's campaign. On screen, you'll see some examples of what Give to Gain looks like in real life, from mentoring other women in the industry, to amplifying someone's achievements, to challenging bias when you see it, to creating opportunities for others to step forward. So why does this theme matter for franchising? Well, franchising is built on systems, support, and shared success, which makes it the perfect ecosystem for this year's message. When franchisors, franchisees, and networks like EWiF choose to give, whether through training, visibility, or championing new talent, the entire sector gains. It's a reminder that empowerment isn't a solo journey. It's something we create together. And today's conversation is part of that giving, sharing insights, opening doors, and strengthening the path for women who are entering franchising now and in the future. So on that note, I will pass over to Pip Wilkins to say, what is franchising?
Yeah, thanks, Marie. So franchising is a relatively simple relationship. It's basically between a franchisor who owns the brand and business system and franchisees, which are individuals looking to run basically a copy of that business in their local area. It's wrapped up with these four common elements, and we've obviously used McDonald's as an example here, but you could insert any franchisor into that space. So there are just over 1,000 franchise systems in the UK market now, and we have about a third of those in membership. So it's really important, if you're looking at a franchise brand, that you look for the badge that says that they are a BFA member, because that brand has chosen to put itself up against our criteria, which is looking at everything from their operational practices to their finances and their marketing materials, so that you know that that brand is trading ethically in the UK marketplace. Now, the brand is a fundamental part of this. It's what a prospective franchisee is investing in. And you want to make sure that when you're looking at that brand, that it's both owned and protected by the franchisor. Then you have the framework, which is arguably the second most important part of the model. And the framework that you're looking for is that the brand is traded in the UK market, that it's proven, and that's transferable. So they've done this with other people in the marketplace before you look to invest. Then you have the support system. Now, when you invest in a franchise, what you're investing in is the opportunity for someone to train you to do something you've maybe never done before. So you'll get an initial training package at the beginning to get you up and running. But what makes business format franchising in the UK marketplace is the support that you get throughout the term of the relationship with the franchisor. So you're going to get support on an ongoing basis, not just from them, but from the network of franchisees that you're working with. And it's really important that you have access to the franchisor on a regular basis, but that you also get webinars, you're going to get conferences that you can go to, you're going to have someone that comes out in the field and helps and supports you. So the support infrastructure is, for me, the most important part of a business format franchise. And finally, you're going to have a franchise agreement. This is a comprehensive document that does set out the rights and obligations of both parties. So it's going to tell you a lot about what you can and you can't do. But the most important thing with this document is it's there to protect not just you as an investing franchisee, but to protect the brand that the franchisor is invested in. So it just makes sure that it looks after everybody. And I'm sure that Fiona, we're going to touch on that a little bit more when we get to the panel sessions. So that's just a brief overview of what franchising is.
Fabulous. Thank you, Pip. So let's have a look at some of the myths involved when we look at women in franchising, and some of the key things that are listed here. Firstly, it says that women aren't a significant part of the franchising sector. This is definitely not true. Women now represent 40% of all UK franchises, which is up from 20% in 2005. So we're a growing proportion of the current franchise sector, and this is a dramatic rise. The second myth is that women aren't entering franchising at the same rate as men. This is untrue. Among new franchise recruits in 2024, 34% were women, more than double the percentage in 2005, which proves that women are joining the sector at an accelerating rate. Thirdly, women don't perform well as franchisees. Another untrue fact. Industry associations like EWiF and the BFA highlight that female franchisees bring strong, relationship-driven leadership, community engagement, and high consistency. This is all linked with strong franchise performance. Though not always formally measured in every network, franchisors report that women continue to be high-performing operators across categories. Fourth, women lack access to support networks in franchising. Again, untrue. There are dedicated national programmes such as Women's Franchise Networks, EWiF, encouraging women into franchising, and multiple women in franchising webinars that provide education, mentoring, networking, and visibility for women at every career stage. Fifth, women struggle more to return to business after career breaks. Again, untrue. Unlike corporate career ladders, in franchising, you're not penalised for having a gap in your CV. Success in franchising as a female is driven by your attitude, your leadership skills, and your operational commitment. It's not traditional professional timelines. So this is one reason why franchising is increasingly positioned as a more equitable path for women. Finally, franchising isn't flexible enough for women with caring responsibilities. Again, untrue. With 74% of women in the UK still acting as primary carers, many are intentionally choosing franchising because it offers business ownership with built-in structure, business in a box. And it also offers you flexibility, a blend which is not easily found in most traditional employment roles or corporate businesses.
That was a good start. I was on mute. Really pleased now to be hosting a panel with some amazing women that are obviously all in franchising already. So to get kicked off, I guess the first question for me is this year's theme is Give to Gain, which focuses on generosity, on collaboration, and on multiplying opportunity. But what does that message personally mean to you as a franchise leader? So Anne-Marie, I'm going to start with you.
I thought you might come there first. I think when you are a franchisor, you always want to give because somebody is buying into your business model. And that way you want them to be successful. Because if you are giving that ongoing support as well after that initial training, then obviously as a brand, as a business and as a network, you are always going to gain. So for me, it's definitely all about that process.
Hey, and Keesia?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Definitely in regards to the process and, a lot of the mythbusters you're talking about, I've definitely heard some of those along the line and been asked the question many times, have you run a business before? And I sometimes say, oh, would you ask me that if I was different? Do you know what I mean? So definitely, but it is definitely the structure and the processes within it that, give us all the equity we need, really, to be very successful in this field.
And Stephanie, as a franchisor at McDonald's?
Yes, absolutely. So I think it's interesting. As a franchisor, you feel like you definitely can give opportunities to people who might not be able to have them otherwise, or might not feel like they can, like be an entrepreneur by themselves and everything. So, but I think it's when I think of it, give to gain, it's really the most rewarding and the most pride you can get, really, rather than like, I don't know, the impact you have on yourself or your own career is the impact you can have on someone else's life or career. And definitely as a franchisor, being able to give those opportunities to women specifically is absolutely rewarding. And I think it's just like, aside from being a franchisor, he's being there for people, championing them, being kind of their cheerleader on the side and an advocate is really powerful.
Okay. And Shafali?
Good morning, everyone. I'm delighted to be here. I think we're really fortunate as women franchisees in our position to be able to give to others. In my workforce alone, I remember when I first started out, there were very few women in our leadership team, and now we've grown that to over 50%. And that's something not just because they're women, but just because they're good and they weren't always sort of rewarded, I think, and pushed and encouraged in their roles. So in terms of, from my perspective, I like to give to women, and I like to give to all parts of our team, but you do gain something in respect to that, because you gain their allyship and their dedication.
Okay, so moving on, let's talk a little bit about actual examples. So for us, the give to gain thing, for me, what is a moment maybe in your career where somebody shared something with you, whether that's mentorship, visibility, encouragement, something that really changed your trajectory? So I'm going to start with the franchisees this time. So I'm going back to Shafali.
So there was, really early in my career, I had a mentor, Carol, who is another franchisee. And she really encouraged me to push myself and sort of step outside my comfort zone. She started the Women's Leadership Network in McDonald's and asked me to work on her with that. And that gave me great exposure to the hierarchy at McDonald's, and to also champion other women in my role. So I'm ever indebted to her for all her encouragement. And we're quite fortunate to be in our position because we're able to do that. And it's now my job to be able to do that for newer franchisees. So as long as we keep that chain going, we can lift and empower each other.
Keesia, for you?
I think for me, going back many years now, it was my first boss after graduating from uni. It was a see it, be it situation for me. She was very senior. She worked 3 days a week. I hadn't seen a female that senior work 3 days a week, and she had 2 young children, and that just blew me away. And it made me, because I always kind of thought to myself, definitely want to have a successful career, but I definitely would like to have a family as well. I could never quite figure out the balance in my mind coming out of university, what that would look like in the corporate world. And my first boss was exactly that, and that completely inspired me. And then from there, I've worked around some really great women that I've seen really pioneer their careers as well, and inspired me to ask for more, and to step up to the challenge and not be shy to do that, and not always wait for the opportunity to be presented to you. And that's a couple of female directors I worked with in civil service that really pioneered our female network, and sponsored me to go and do further training and to work with other departments to build up my skill set, to get that confidence within my role to then want to be an entrepreneur in my own business. So definitely for me, it's my first boss. That whole see it, be it, I can actually do that was my first encounter of that.
Yeah, I think we all experience that to a little bit. You know, life is the see it, be it. Fiona, from your perspective, I mean, obviously, I appreciate that you're a lawyer, but I think, you know, we say all the time, don't we? We lift as we climb in franchising. What's been your experience in terms of somebody that's mentored or encouraged you?
I've been really lucky to have some great people around me in my journey in law, who've helped to show me a different and new way of doing things. I've had some great partners, female partners, who've been in that role at a time when it was a difficult place to be for a woman with children, and have shown me the way to do that in a way that still retains you being a female. So they've not tried to be a woman in a man's world. They've tried to do it their own way and make it work for them. And that showed me that that is possible with families and everybody in tow. And I've also had some fantastic male allies who have supported me throughout my journey and given me opportunities to grow, and also shown me when it's been a good time, where I can thrive. And I think that is really important. So a lot's changed in the law and the way it operates. And a great partner one time showed me that the way this is the future and this is the way the law is going to look. And he did that at a very formative stage of my career. And it helped me work out what I wanted to do for the future. So I think you need great female leaders, but you also need male allies to succeed.
1000%. Anne-Marie, from your perspective, the give to gain things, you know, we see all the time the amount that you do in the franchising sector. For those of you that don't know Anne-Marie, she is a bit of a TikTok sensation, and she spends a lot of time kind of giving back in the community. Can you talk a bit about how you've given, but also how you've gained as well?
I think probably a big turning point. I mean, I franchised my business back in 2006. And so us in the children's activities sector, there wasn't really a lot of other businesses that were franchising in that sector at the time. So it was a big learning curve. And then I think, and it was quite competitive, as in everyone's trying to grow. And I think for us, COVID was a real turning point for us, because everybody was collaborating and coming together to give each other that collaboration, that support and that guidance through those times. And then from that, it almost started that ball rolling for even more. And I'm really passionate about our children's activities sector, and I really wanted to make sure I was doing as much as I could, especially through my role at the Children's Activities Association, to keep giving back, to support those of us in that sector, but also anyone new coming into that sector, so that we were all raising standards, so that we were all working together at those highest standards in that sector, because at the end of the day, we're working with children, and I'm really, really passionate about that. So that giving back, even if it is just through a TikTok where at events we're all coming together, that powerful, stronger together message is really important for me. Also in the franchising world as well, showing that we are stronger together, that by supporting each other, we are all gaining collectively.
100%. And now, Stephanie, we know that women now make up 40% of UK franchisees. That's not always been the case. And we've seen that grow quite a lot, particularly in the last sort of 10 to 20 years. What do you think is attracting more women into franchising? Because you've obviously seen the number of McDonald's female franchisees grow in that time too.
Yeah, you're right, Pip. We are not quite there yet at 40% within the McDonald's network, but working really hard at it. So Shafali and Keesia are proof of that. But I think there's a few things. The first one would be the fact that it's a tried and tested model. So like Anne-Marie said before, everything that the franchisor has put in place, and all of the processes and everything will help then the partner obviously coming on board. So the fact that it's then, thanks to that, a lower risk aspect to owning and running your own business is definitely attractive to women who potentially most of the time would be a bit more risk adverse than some male. So that's definitely an advantage. I think the flexibility is a big one as well. As we said, kind of having a corporate career doesn't necessarily always marry with having a family. And I think that flexibility, that running your own business with the umbrella of your franchisor brings you, is definitely very attractive to women. And more women, I think we a lot think, oh, I can't run my own business because I've got all of those caring responsibilities, whether they are your children or your parents, but actually realize very quickly that you are the owner of your own agenda. So whilst you still work really hard, it's so much more flexible than being on a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday job. And I think the last thing would definitely be the support of the franchisor. Actually, not just the franchisor, but the support of that network we talked about earlier. So fellow franchisees, I know in our network, we've got 200 franchisees, and as Shafali mentioned Carol before, but there's 200 others that they can go around and work with. So you're never alone when you face a problem. And I think that's definitely attractive to women. So you've got here the franchisor, fellow franchisee, and the likes of yourself, Pip. You've got a whole industry behind you. You are not on your own. So I think for women, it's very reassuring going into business in those conditions.
And Keesia, you were nodding for the entire time that Stephanie was speaking then. What was the thing that really attracted you into franchising from a franchisee perspective? What was the kind of one thing that you went, that works for me?
Absolutely. I was nodding away because it is so true. I mean, it was the flexibility for me. So as much as I'm a mother, I also look after my mum as well, who's disabled. And it gave me the flexibility to do that without any guilt, because I found in my corporate career, I had to travel a lot because I managed international markets and spent a lot of time away from my family. So it was the guilt of not being with my family, but then the guilt of not progressing my career enough to contribute financially to the family as well. And I think I was just done with that battle in my mind. And I wanted something where I could, financially grow and grow my scope and skill set as a business owner, but at the same time have the flexibility to enjoy the other roles I have as a daughter and a mother and a wife, because I felt I had the right to do that. And the franchising model 100% gave me that. So I go to hospital appointments with my mum and I support her. I'm there for my son to support him, and I enjoy time with my husband as well, as we actually run the business together. And that balance is something I've always been looking for. I didn't quite know where to find it, but franchising was definitely the model that supported that.
Fantastic. So Shafali, what forms of giving or support do you think makes the biggest difference for women entering franchising today?
God, that's a good question. So with McDonald's, as Stephanie mentioned, it's a tried and tested model. So operationally, marketing, the financials, all of that is taken care of. So it literally allows you to come in as yourself, as a leader, to come in and take over a business that's already been managed, but make your improvements to it and make your mark on it. I think McDonald's, I've got a franchisee consultant who's been with me all the way through my training now, 6 years, up until my 5 years of being a franchisee, and she's held my hand at every point and helped me on my journey. But it's really the support that they give you. It's, as McDonald's said, if you're successful, they're successful. So it's in their best interest to make you a success. And I felt that from day one in terms of the training that they provide, in terms of the support they give in all areas of the business.
Fiona, what about you? What do you think is making the biggest difference for women coming into franchising?
I think the opportunity to scale. I mean, ultimately, I act for many clients that are franchisors, and women start businesses and they get to a certain point where they are thinking, okay, this needs to grow, and they hit a ceiling on that growth. Certainly in several sectors in franchising, female leaders have been able to scale businesses beyond their wildest dreams through franchising. And I love that it's enabled them to do that. And this is not just from a franchisor perspective, it's also from a franchisee perspective in terms of multiple brands and multiple businesses. It's a great way to have the support network and the industry sector support as well to help you scale a business. And I think that the way it works for women is fantastic in doing that, because it relies on the core skills that females have of being able to support others. To be a good leader in franchising, you have to bring others with you. You can't just be out there on your own. So we're ideally placed to do it well.
And that, I think, is bang on. So looking at that and extending on that, what strengths do you think women are bringing to franchise ownership and leadership, Anne-Marie?
Oh, well, I don't want to get political, but imagine if women ran the world. It may be a lot kinder, considered and thoughtful world. But I think that we have been probably undermined for a long time, especially in certain sectors. And so when we help women all rise together, and we are bringing those attributes of support, of kindness, of thoughtfulness, just female instincts a lot as well. I think we are coming together, and we are maybe as females a bit more aware of everyone around us. So this isn't about that males aren't. Fiona talked about a lot as well, our male allies, and those that I had a male who was very significant, my franchise consultant, who really gave me that belief that I could do this, because as an ex-professional dancer and a dance teacher, I can't be a business owner, I can't suddenly be a franchisor, I can't do this. Also giving me that belief that I could do it, and then me finding that and being able to give that to others, the belief that you can do this. Once that was ignited in me, it felt very natural as a woman to then help others believe that they can achieve those things as well.
Yeah, and Stephanie, McDonald's is known for its kind of structured systems, its training and its development support. How do you think these elements help your franchisees thrive?
Yeah, so I think Shafali talked a bit about it before. So it starts from day one. So once we recruit a future franchisee, they've got a 9 months training program. So that's really, really comprehensive. I see Keesia and Shafali both smiling. When they start the training, they're like, how on earth can I spend 9 months training? It's like, when am I getting the key to my restaurant? It's like, I'll tell every one of them, when comes the 9 months and you get the keys, you'll actually think, oh my God, I needed more time. They are both still nodding. Well, first it goes really quickly, but it's everything it gives you. It's the operation side, it's the leadership. You basically go through everything that somebody would go through the ranks in the restaurant, so that then as a business owner you really know what your people are going through and you are best able to then help your people. But it starts with that training program, but then it's the ongoing consultation. So you'll have consultation with our finance teams to help you put business case together, to help you go to the bank to ask for money, and we've got those partnerships already established with the banks. And then Shafali talked about it, that business consultants who is in the field just with the franchisees. And again, it's not about, obviously we are going to make sure that our franchisees have the standards that we would expect them to have, but it's mostly a support role rather than like an audit role. It's there to help our franchisees and to support them, obviously growing their businesses. So yeah, I think it's all of those processes. Look, we've been now 40 years franchising this year, actually. Paul was reminding me. We are 50 years obviously in the UK and Ireland, but 40 years as a franchisor this year. And we've gone through that. We've learned along the way. And I think it's that's providing the best support, I think, for new franchisees.
Fantastic. So Shafali, she's just said all about the things that they did. One thing that when you bought in that training and support structure really helped you thrive?
So Keely, my franchisee consultant, she was pivotal. So on the first day, I did my 9 months training and I'm really eager, getting in the store and thinking, yeah, I got this, I can do this. And then there were 100 eyes looking at me at day one. And I just thought, what do I do? I was at about 3 o'clock. So you start the handover like 6 in the morning. And then about 3 o'clock, she was leaving. And she goes, okay, you're all right. I'm like, I'm not. I don't know what to do. I don't know why they keep looking at me and they keep asking me questions. She goes, do you want me to come back tomorrow? I said, yes, please. And she was with me every day that week just to make sure that I was okay and I was settled and just to hold my hand. And to be honest, I don't think I really needed it, but I think she just wanted to be there and I wanted her to be there just to provide that support. So yeah, it had to be my franchisee consultant.
And what about you, Keesia?
Yeah, definitely that. We call them the Francons. Absolutely pivotal. My Francon I was with since my training, and he's absolutely amazing. He actually put me forward last week to talk on a panel for International Women's Day. He goes, Keesia, I need you to tell your story. You've inspired me. You need to inspire others, and having that ally around you is everything. To me personally within this role, but I can definitely relate to Shafali on the whole handover day. Got 100 eyes looking at you like, have you got all the answers? And like, not yet, but I'll go get them. I handed over on my second restaurant yesterday morning at about 6 a.m. So went through that process again. So I managed to get my second restaurant in less than a year franchising. So Fiona, your point about scaling up, yeah, absolutely. So said, so done for us women in this industry. And your Francon is there to support you along the way. But, don't forget all the franchisees around you. I spoke to Shafali before I even got my first restaurant and talked through, my aspirations, and she shared hers, and a very empowering and inspiring conversations that Shafali and I still share, as well as our male franchisees out there that have never made me feel like I'm a female. Very much spoken to me as an equal, share of business partnership within the brand. So yeah, definitely I can relate to that day one when you get the restaurant. You think you've done all the training in the world, you think you know it all, and then something comes up that you've never been prepared for. But that's the great thing about the role, is that I'm still developing, and there is still the biggest scope for me as a female that I don't believe I would have got in the corporate world, because I don't know if people would have been happy to give me the opportunity, if I'm frank about that. So to have that within my own empowerment, within my business, with a brand that actually wants me to win because we both win, if I win, is very, very empowering.
Amazing. So Fiona, coming back to you for a moment, what piece of advice would you give to women who are considering franchising, but maybe they might worry that it's not going to fit around their lives or their responsibilities?
That's a good question. I would say that women have been embarking on careers, working for other people, looking after families forever, and they've always managed to have it fit around whatever's necessary in life. Franchising is just like that, but what's great is the framework that you have around you that you don't necessarily have in your own life, is that you've got this support network to help you do it. So if you need to find out more about what's involved in becoming a franchisee, there are wonderful sector groups like EWiF and the BFA and organisations and people that you can speak to that will introduce you to people that are franchising, to people that can help you understand what's involved in becoming involved in it. But don't be afraid to ask the questions and join the networks. They are open, they are friendly, they are really supportive as an industry, and it's not something to feel that there is a barrier to embarking on, and it has a great network around it that's quite different to starting your own business, which might be quite isolating. So it's a great way to get into operating a business with the support network around you.
Yeah. We spoke a little bit about myths before we started, so Fiona gave us a really kind of good overview. Anne-Marie, if you could change one misconception about women in franchising, what would it be and why?
Well, I think the word franchise, especially in the UK, gets bandied around quite a lot. And I would like that to change, because I think, again, especially in our sector, in the children's activities sector, we hear this word, oh, start a franchise, it's great passive income, it's a great way to level up whilst in your sleep. And that's a real big myth I would like to stop. It's a great flexible way to get into owning your own business. You don't have to have a light bulb moment of inventing a brand new business. There are franchise opportunities in so many different business sectors, which is great. Like I think Fiona mentioned earlier, that business in a box. You have got that to come into. You are still a business owner, but as we've all said, you've got that support and that network around you and that training and ongoing guidance. But thinking that, especially as a franchisor, that franchising your business because it's easy and you can earn money while you sleep is definitely a myth that I would like to stop.
Yeah, mine is the terminology. It makes me rah when somebody talks about a Harry Potter franchise and James Bond, and I'm like, oh my God. And it's not what franchising is. And I think that the terminology for me in people using franchise for stuff that isn't what we all know is business format franchising is a huge frustration, and something that we're trying to do more to change. Stephanie, from your perspective, what's the kind of one thing that you would like to see change from a misconception perspective?
I think it would be about the amount of money you need to start up as a franchisee. I think there's lots of myth about you need to be a millionaire if you want to buy into, especially I guess if it's a big franchise like our names. And I think that's stopping probably a lot of female from applying because they don't even look at it, because they think that you need to be a millionaire to be at a McDonald's franchisee. So I think that's one of the things that really, and we've tried really hard to kind of show that it is accessible, and you don't need that, and you actually then make your business, and it's all of your hard work that will get you the value, but you don't need that to enter a franchise model. So I think that's one, especially when I think into women in franchisee more than franchising in general that I'd like to bust.
Yeah, 100%. And, for those of you on the call, franchising is hugely accessible, and the banks in the UK marketplace heavily support franchise opportunities. So they will lend anything from 50 to 100% of the initial investment, the total investment that you need to get up and running. So it is absolutely more accessible, I think, than people believe financially. Okay, so I want to go back to Shafali and Keesia for a moment. Franchising is all about community, and I don't just mean community that you've touched on with other franchisees in the network. I mean, when we're talking about Give to Gain, there is a lot that you guys do in your local communities to give back. Can you just talk to us a bit about how you engage and collaborate in your local communities? So maybe Keesia, starting with you this time.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot around young people. So I've been a trustee governor in a secondary school. I purposely picked a private school around diversity in the private sector of education is where I positioned myself there. I've also done mentoring 16 to 18-year-olds, and I recruit quite heavily on 16 to 18-year-olds as well, just to give them that step up into their first job, and really to create an environment where they know the difference in the future between a good employer and a bad employer. I'll put that out there as well, and they get that the right perception and the right environment to work in. But I'll also say that my presence sometimes does really support the community. So I was fortunate enough to buy my childhood restaurant that I ate in for the first time many moons ago. I actually remember when it was built. And so I'm very passionate about the community that surrounds my restaurant. And I was in the lobby one day just doing some lobby work with my team, and I had a young schoolgirl come up to me, and I could see her friends egging her on, like, go on, ask. And I was, what's going on here? I said, hello, you all right? She went, yeah, we just want to know, is it that you own this restaurant? Like, are you like is it a franchisee? Like, do you own this restaurant? And usually when people ask me in the lobby, I go, oh, no, I'm just a manager, I'm just working. I can't bother with all of that. But I went, no, Keesia, there's something powerful about this encounter here. And I look at myself when I was probably around about the same age she is, obviously about 13, 14, and the representation. And I went, yes, I am. I'm an owner-operator. I've just bought my second restaurant, and this is my restaurant that I own the business and I employ the people in it. And she went, okay. And it was like all her friends like, really? And they're walking out, they're all chatting between them like, yeah. Do you know what I mean? That's when you think, absolutely, absolutely. And then there was a recent an event where I hosted a senior VP came to visit my restaurant. I had the director of franchising there, the senior VP, and my Franco, and they were all men. And my 16-year-old son was there. And after the visit had ended, I didn't even realise this, but my son came up to me and said, Mum, you just led 3 men through your business and you owned it. I've not seen that in you before. Wow. And then I kind of stood back and I thought, yeah, you do need to see that actually, Alonso, because, your wife could be like that. Do you know what I mean? Like that is women. That is the perception I want you to have. So yeah, it's incredibly powerful.
And Shafali, what about you? What's your kind of big passion in your local community? How are you changing things?
We do loads, and do you know something? I can't actually remember everything, so I had to pull up a presentation that I had done just to remind myself what we do. So similar to Keesia, there were 2 female shift managers, one shift manager and one shift trainer that were working in the restaurant when I first got it. And they both came up to me and they said, this is the first time we've had a female boss, let alone an Asian boss. And she said, from their perspective, it was encouraging and inspirational for them to see that, because if they could see that and they see it in somebody like them, there's hope for them in the future, or hope for their children in the future. And that's one of the main reasons I did it, was to change that perception. My daughter, has always said, I'm going to do what daddy does because daddy earns more money than mummy. And I thought, no, I'm going to show you. I want to do, not maybe earn more money, but I want to show you that I have got community awards from our mayor. We've got entrepreneur awards. We do local litter picks as well. I sponsor local football teams. And I think the biggest one is Brentford Football Club. We are the founding community member for Brentford Football Club. We mentor and we train young adults for with those with disabilities. So they come and do work experience with us every Wednesday and Friday because a lot of them find it difficult to get jobs. So they work in our customer areas, helping other customers and just talking to customers. We work with City University as well on their graduate scheme, helping them with employment. So they come and do a 6-week placement with us. I was on the BBC a couple of years ago on International Women's Day, showcasing what McDonald's do. We do breakfast, we do talks. I'm a huge advocate for sort of leadership with kindness. So talking about that, talking about how we can be slightly different leaders. We don't have to be the stereotypical type that you see out there. What else do we do? I sit on bid teams, so I sit on councils, local bid teams as well, 2 in Clapham, and now we're forming one in Windsor. We do podcasts and RMHC as well. So I'm a huge supporter of RMHC, our charity of McDonald's, Ronald McDonald's House Charity, and last year we raised £50,000 climbing the 3 peaks.
Amazing. No, it's awesome. And this for me is what brings franchising together. It is this sense of community and collaboration that we have all of the time. I guess, Anne-Marie, trying to put that into a pot, why is it so important, from a franchisor perspective, that franchisees do engage in their local communities as well as engaging obviously with the franchisor?
Because I mean, especially for us and what we do, working with the very young and their families, they are the heart of their community. And so delivering the sessions that we do is so important, not just for development of those children, but also for that social aspect for new parents and bringing people together. But also we get lots of grandparents in our classes now as well. So you are bringing a real intergenerational level into the community as well. And I think that's really powerful, that you can only do through a franchising model, because that franchisee is the heart of their community. It's not me just employing teachers across the UK to go and deliver sessions just because they're getting paid to do it. The franchisees we have in the network are so passionate about what we do as a session, but also about being part of that community, and all the work that we do with the local children's centres, that we do with funding options, to really, because the curriculum is finally sort of changing into an enrichment curriculum, and they are seeing the importance of enjoying moving to get children more active into later life. All of that, starting in the early years, is something that our whole network is really passionate about, and bringing that into that community. And then any charity work that they do, we have sort of national charity work that we do, but the franchisees have the autonomy to work with any local charity work that they find passionate as well. So yeah, I just think as a service-based business, it's such a natural alignment to be the heart of their community.
You guys have been incredible, and I know we need to wrap up in a minute, so I just have one final question that I'm going to ask to all of you, and I'm going to start with Fiona. If you could give one piece of advice to a woman looking at starting the application process to become a franchisee, and they might be feeling a bit nervous or unsure about whether they're the right fit for franchising, or even that particular business, what would your one piece of advice to them be? Fiona?
If you are considering entering franchising, the best thing that you can do is to immerse yourself in the sector. We have so many credible and ethical organizations to support you in franchising that you can join, that you can attend for free, and that you can speak to. Find ethical organizations that operate in franchising and trade bodies. Either become a member or go along to a meeting for free and speak to those people that are in franchising. Because if you are looking at joining the sector, the best thing you can do is meet the people in it, and that will give you a flavour of what's involved in being in franchising.
Keesia?
I think my advice would be don't kind of get driven into something I think we do a lot, which is, am I skilled enough for it yet? All right, I'll go another 2 years and I'll do this course and I'll do that course, and then I'll do a bit of training here and I'll do a bit of mentoring there, and then I think I'm ready. Just go for it. It's such a vast skill set, and there will be something about you as an individual that will 100% bring the most positivity to that role and to your business and the growth and the success of it. So don't be put off by the thinking that you need to be a millionaire to be a franchisee. You absolutely don't. And don't think that you need to tick every single skill set box there is to be a CEO of your own business. No, you don't. You will build your stakeholders around you, and you could hold them to account to be responsible for those areas of the business. There will absolutely be a part of you, whether that's your value system, your experience, your skills, that you will be able to, as an individual, bring to the table.
Shafali?
Just do it. I think sometimes we think about it so much, don't we? And we kind of talk ourselves out of things. I remember when I was applying to McDonald's, I was really nervous and I thought, I'm never going to get this. And so many hundreds of applicants, and why are they going to choose me? And I was doing a charity run with a friend of mine, and she just turned around and said, look, you just need to believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. So yeah, so don't overthink it. Do a bit of research, talk to somebody, and just apply, because you need to believe in yourself.
Stephanie?
Yeah, a bit on the theme of Fiona and Shafali, I think, do your research. Obviously, talk to the brand. You need to make sure that it's the right fit for you. They are not always going to be, so just making sure the values, everything is a fit. And I would say my biggest advice would be talk to the current franchisees, because they can come to talk to us as a franchisor. Obviously, we'll tell you from our perspective, but there's no one better than Keesia or Shafali here to tell you what's their day-to-day, how they feel, how they are involved and everything. So I would say that's the key to make sure that it is something you want and it will be the right fit. Would be, talk to the current network. And we encourage that a lot.
And Anne-Marie?
I would definitely echo what Stephanie just said about speaking to current franchisees, so you get a real feel for how they are as a franchisee. But really importantly, find a business or a sector that you are really passionate about. So if it's something that you really love doing, then inevitably, like any business, when your franchise is up and down and a few little roller coasters, especially in the early days, that passion will see you through those down days. And take time to get to know the franchisor or the head office team, because you are entering into a franchise agreement, that partnership with them which is what usually a minimum 5 years. So you need to make sure that from a personal trait as well, they are the type of people that you are going to get on with and you're going to find that great partnership relationship with.
Absolutely. Mine is always very similar to Anne-Marie's. It's about finding something you love. Franchising there are so many different concepts out there. We've said over 1,000 that you can look at, and it is a touchable, feelable, pokeable thing. You can go and talk to franchisees, spend time with the head office support staff, tap into the BFA, to EWiF, to the banks, to talk to them about the different concepts that you're looking at. But Keesia was bang on. You are going to get the training and support to make you successful. don't wait. It's something that I think you can start looking at today. You must do your due diligence. It's the most important part of the journey to make sure that there is the fit. But when you find the right one for you, follow the support system that they give you. You know, franchisors and franchisees have been and done this in the marketplace, and they're giving you that recipe for success. Thank you so much for listening. I'm going to pass you back to Kirsten, I think, who is going to conclude today's webinar.
Thank you, Pip, and thank you, everybody. So as we come to the end of today's sessions, I want to take a moment to extend a heartfelt thank you to everyone who made this webinar possible. To our presenters, our panelists, and all those working behind the scenes. Thank you for sharing your experience, your honesty, and your leadership. Your insights are what bring conversations like this to life, and your willingness to give your time and your stories today truly embodies the spirit of International Women's Day. A huge thank you as well to everyone joining us, whether you're exploring franchising for the first time, supporting women in your organisation, or are already part of this incredible community. Your engagement and your presence matters. These conversations only create real change when people show up, listen, and take action. And before we close, I want to leave you with the theme of this year, Give to Gain. It's a reminder that progress doesn't happen in isolation. Every time you share knowledge, open a door, champion someone's potential, or offer a hand up, we create opportunities that reach far beyond a single moment or individual. So as you leave today, I encourage you to think about what you can give, whether it's support, mentorship, visibility, encouragement, or simply a conversation that can help someone take their next step. Thank you again for being part of this event with McDonald's and EWiF. Let's continue to give generously, support boldly, and build a franchising community where every woman has the opportunity to thrive. Happy International Women's Day, everyone.